Hi, today I'm here with Jeremy Fine, who's a professor in our department. Welcome, Jeremy. It's good to have you here.
Thanks, Diogo.
So, why don't we start? Jeremy, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, where you grew up, how you ended up at Notre Dame.
Sure. I grew up in Connecticut. Went to University of Chicago undergrad, got my PhD at Northwestern, and started my academic career at McGill University in Canada, and then came here because it was a better opportunity for combining research and teaching, and it was also closer to family.
Okay, that sounds great. In terms of research, what kind of things do you do? Like, what's the research that you're interested in? What gets you excited?
So I'm an earth scientist, geomicrobiologist. So I'm looking at how bacteria affect the environmental behavior of mostly metals, things like chromium, selenium, things that are of anthropogenic interest that bacteria actually can play a large role in determining the fate and behavior of the elements in the environment.
Yeah, I always think it's funny when you talk about bacteria because one of the things that stands out to me that you told me years ago is, yeah, don't drink Diet Coke because, those artificial sweeteners, not even bacteria will touch that stuff. And they'll touch about anything. So you're about exploring all those things that bacteria will touch and interact with.
That's right. And I mean, basically, anywhere there's liquid water, bacteria are existing and are influencing geochemical processes. And for a very long time, earth scientists never paid attention to bacteria, and microbiologists never really paid attention to the environment in which bacteria live. And I think for the last 20 or 30 years, people have just started realizing how intertwined the system is.
And is there anything in that where you'd say that would be particularly surprising to, somebody who doesn't have a background in the earth sciences? Like if you ran an experiment in the lab which didn't have these bacteria present versus something that happens in the natural environment, how big of an influence or how big of a change do they have in what particular way?
They have a huge influence. They can control the environmental behavior of so many metals. For instance, Department of Energy is using bacteria right now to clean uranium-contaminated groundwater. Uranium can have different valence states, and bacteria basically make their living by, in effect, breathing uranium. Just like we breathe oxygen, we take in organic molecules and shuttle electrons to oxygen. Well, bacteria can do that same thing with uranium. And that changes the behavior of the uranium. It goes from dissolved in the groundwater to precipitated. So basically, you can clean up the groundwater with bacteria.
That's amazing because, we always have this connotation of bacteria as being bad, or historically we do. I think increasingly people are realizing, no, bacteria can be good, they can be bad. But in this case here, we can take advantage of the things that they're doing to help them.
Yeah, exactly. And what my lab is doing is trying to understand the molecular scale mechanisms of how bacteria operate, and then to determine if we can potentially tweak the engineering of bacteria. We're using proteomics right now to determine which proteins are involved in chromium and selenium transformations. And the idea is that if we can isolate this protein, we might be able to engineer bacteria that are especially good at remediating chromium or selenium contaminated groundwater.
That's really cool. Do you have, just in that regard, do you have any interesting stories or anything relating to any of this research? It doesn't even have to be related to this research. Anything relating to your career or otherwise.
Oh, this is a good question. Yeah, I don't have I've been trying to think of a good story.
But nothing that jumps out in any
nothing that really jumps out, yeah.
Okay. That's all right. That's okay. That's not an unusual answer. Okay, so you're an earth scientist, but you use the word engineering twice. You're a professor in an engineering department as well, which is kind of cool. Let's invent a time machine. Go back and talk with 22-year-old Jeremy, right? And what life advice would you give Jeremy in terms of future trajectory, future career? And this, the same could be said of maybe this is the same advice you might give one of our undergraduates.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess Maybe it's been mostly through luck, but I've collaborated with people and used tools that other people are experts in that have really helped the study of what I do. And this is one of the things I value most about our department, is that it's such a wide mix of people and expertise, and you can broaden your perspectives and attack problems in all new ways that you haven't even thought about, just by bouncing ideas off people that you meet in the hallway. So I guess the advice would be to be open to more than you've been trained to do. I mean, PhD really shouldn't be considered training in how to do specific research. It's how to ask questions, and you need to be open to new ways of approaching and providing answers to those questions.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've enjoyed very much about my time in the department here, is the fact that I can call on other people's expertise to help me answer some of those questions, which has been really, really cool. And in some ways, you've answered the next question that I was going to ask, although you might want to give a different answer. You've been here for quite a while. The department has changed significantly since you started here. But what would you say is your favorite thing about our department?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And there are a lot of things that I like about this department. I would say the most important thing, though, is the balance that we have between undergraduate education, graduate education, and pure research. That I really enjoy the mix. That you can go to a lot of schools and research is foremost, and undergraduates get a short shrift.
Yeah.
But here, it's not just lip service. That undergraduate education is valued, and I enjoy having undergraduate teaching as part of my everyday life.
Yeah, I think we're blessed, right, in the sense that we get to interact with young people every single day, and that keeps us youthful and young at heart.
Exactly.
So,
and undergraduates aren't all, well, some of them are, but a lot of them here at Notre Dame are not afraid of asking some pretty fundamental questions as they're learning. Whereas, and that gets you thinking. You may have a whole new perspective on something when someone who doesn't know that much about the field is asking you questions.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I think we're blessed in that particular way. All right, let's switch gears a little bit and learn about Jeremy as an individual.
Okay.
What do you like to do for fun?
My most enjoyable outside of work time is spent playing ice hockey.
Playing ice hockey.
I play hockey a couple of times a week. Not in a checking league. It's a game that's for mostly for older people like me, but also some beginners as well. And we all remember that we have to get back to work afterwards.
And you do this on campus, right? Is it pickup league, basically?
Yeah, there's a faculty, staff, graduate student league that if anyone's watching who plays hockey, they should come and join us.
We have a Canadian postdoc who was asking me about this, so I'll definitely pass the information along. He wanted to know about this for sure. That's great. And how about other interests? Things like music. Is there a particular genre of music that you like, or anything like that?
I'm not. I like all sorts of music. Most of my other time is spent. I always read in the evening.
So do you have any good books that you recommend? Anything good that you've read recently that really stands out as something that everybody should read?
Well, my favorite author right now is Peter Heller, who writes sort of nature types of thrillers. I read nonfiction all day long for science.
What is a nature thriller?
Well, it's sort of for one of his books that's really good. It's called The River, and it's sort of a murder mystery, but it takes place in the setting of a wildfire that's coming and threatening this group of people who are canoeing down a river in the wilds of Canada.
I'll have to add that to my Amazon list.
It's really beautifully written.
One of the great things I've enjoyed here is I've been adding a lot of books to my Amazon list and learning from all my colleagues the different things that they read. And then, if we shift over, you said ice hockey is your favorite sport, right? Is that true in terms of watching? Is there a team you support?
I have players that I really enjoy watching. Being in South Bend, we are not that close to any particular team, but Connor McDavid, the Edmonton Oilers.
Do
I'm
you
a
go?
big
Do you
fan.
do you go to the Fighting Irish games at all?
I do, not to all of them, but a few each
This
season.
season, I've always enjoyed going to those games. It's a pretty cool environment.
Yeah, the speed of hockey is amazing. I think.
It is phenomenal. And then this question tends to always throw people off. I think it's the nature of scientists and engineers, but artwork, artists. Do you have any artists that you like? And artists, I mean in the very broad general sense. Some people have come back with architects. Some people have come back with painters or this kind of thing. But is there anything that inspires you or you find?
Yes, I can't get enough of Rembrandt. Basically,
Rembrandt?
I had a few meetings in Amsterdam, and there's a Rembrandt museum there.
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful.
Rembrandt is what he could do with a paintbrush is
It's mind-boggling.
beyond belief. I
Yeah.
think.
I fully agree. My artistic talent has not evolved since I
Yeah,
was 4
well,
years
same with
old,
me. I
but-
can't do it at all. But every time, I mean, we go to the Art Institute in Chicago,
That's
and
wonderful.
there's a Rembrandt there that I just visit every single time.
That's really cool. Well, that's good to know. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for spending time with us. Are there any last words? Anything you'd like to share with our audience? That's what I've had to say.
Yeah, I think this has covered
Let's cover it all.
everything I can think of.
Oh, wonderful. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us here
My
today.
pleasure.
Take care.